Good afternoon. My name is Abby.
And I'm Ron.
And welcome to Boone County Insider. The purpose of Boone County Insider is to update the citizens on the happening inside the community.
For our first episode of Boone County Insider, we'll be covering last year's election and Halloween drive-by. Our interviews are with Justin Krigler, Boone County's clerk, and David Whitehouse, Boone County's parks director.
As you may know, this year's election was a bit eventful. Here's our interview with Justin Krigler. What's your job and what does that look like to you?
My job is obviously county clerk, represent Boone County. We do many functions here. I know we'll be talking mainly about the election, but we also do anything related to car registration, car tag, car license plate, anything real estate wise as far as deeds, mortgages, recordings. We do marriage license, liquor license, but most people probably view us more for the elections.
How was last year's election different or similar to other elections?
Well, similar, we'll go with that. That's more an easier answer. Everybody did vote in the same form and fashion. Different, obviously, because of COVID, many things were extremely different. We had early voting for the first time with no excuses. You could vote just because you wanted to early. We also had mail-in voting. On election day, normally we have 63 polls here in Boone County. This time, because of the COVID pandemic we're into, we had 10 super poll locations only, so that's obviously quite a drastic cut.
What was this year's turnout for Boone County?
Overall, we had 67,330 people vote, which was 64.6% of all the registered voters in Boone County. Clearly the highest turnout number-wise in the history of Boone County.
How many early voting and mail-in votes were this year, and how many voted on election day?
I give you like a ballpark general. I mean, like I said, 67,000 people voted. About 14, give or take, thousand did it through the mail, which is, the early voting mail-ins, as you call it. Early voting, which is in person, it looks the same as on election day. Everything is the same. It's just they choose to vote early, hence the name early voting. We had about 23 to 25,000. Then on election day, we're roughly 35 to 37,000 on election day.
What was Boone County's results for the presidential election?
44,812 people voted for Donald Trump. 20,901 people voted for Joe Biden.
What was Boone County's results for the U.S. Senate?
Mitch McConnell obviously won the race, but he also won Boone County. He had 41,727 votes. Amy McGrath had 22,450%.
What are the typical expected results for each party in Boone County?
I'm going to ballpark this for about 65% of the voters in Boone County are Republican.
What do you expect next year's turnout to be? Increase, decrease, or stay the same?
But in 2022, it's really hard to say. I mean, this race was kind of unprecedented for the fact, the world has been in an unusual place recently, so it spurned a large turnout. But I think Boone County is always a very energetic place, and people always turn out to vote fairly well anyway. But I would anticipate probably the same to slightly less, but let's hope it's more. I mean, we try and push to get out to vote really hard here, so I'm always hoping for an increase every year.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying tuned in for an interview with our special guest, Mr. Whitehouse. What would you consider your title to be?
I'm the director of Boone County Parks.
When did the Jack-o'-lantern walk first start and why?
Well, this is the first year we've ever actually had the drive-through, and that was all related to the COVID pandemic. But this is our 32nd year of actually doing the Jack-o'-lantern walk.
Did you have to set up the drive-by any different this year due to COVID?
The walk itself really is set up. The course has been at the fairgrounds for the last 3 years. It really hasn't changed much. With COVID, we weren't allowed to have people actually on site. So really, the cars were. We wanted to continue to do the program, so we went to the drive-through. The drive-through, I can tell you, was definitely a challenge. In the drive-through, if the person in front of you is not going very fast, you're stuck behind them. So that just continues to build up the line. And
how are pumpkins submitted to contests?
Well, we've always done it where anybody in the in our public and register one. You go on our parks website. We post it, early in September. Typically, it's $1 to enter your pumpkin. You bring it out to the fairgrounds on the Friday afternoon. We check them all in Saturday morning, and then we judge them, and then you can go back and pick them up on Sunday. We've added the local high schools, and have been involved, and we work with their art classes into getting them involved.
Is there anything upcoming people should be on the lookout for? If so, what date and time?
Presently, we don't have anything coming up, just because it is that time of the year in the end of December. Usually we just had our holiday tree lighting, but we did a virtual one. So we're doing a lot of the virtual kind of stuff presently, but we'll be meeting here in the next, right up to the first year. Our staff is going to be starting to work on planning for 2021. And this is my 29th year in parks. And I can tell you, it was the strangest year, because really not to have programs like we normally do was very strange. So I'm looking forward to 2021 and getting kind of back to normal and doing some new things for our community.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.